When we approach the Quran, we default to reading it as a history book, a sequential timeline of ancient events. But the text does not operate on a linear chronology. It is a mathematical and thermodynamic topology. The physical artifact we read is the projection of a closed diagnostic engine. What we call the sealed tongue of Muhammad is the user interface for a self-referential system. The text defines its own absolute boundary at coordinate 3923. In control systems, this is a bounded space where the reflection coefficient is less than or equal to 1. Nothing enters from the outside, and nothing escapes. Every input is conserved and recycled. You are not passively observing history. By reading, you inject your own coordinate into a living recurrence loop, a cycle of split, formation, and return that constantly measures your exact frequency. This diagram is a Smith chart, modeling the two opposing fields of this closed universe. The horizontal red line is the D10 field. The D10 register represents physical execution. It is the deterministic access of particles and tangible mass. This is where the first Muslim coordinate of 6163 assumes its stable position in the material field. Perpendicular to that is the I9 field, the indeterministic register. It governs the witness state and wave behavior. This is the domain of the slave at 1930, the wave that witnesses the field without being consumed by its resistance. Data moving through these fields follows a strict algorithmic sequence. Every node must alternate between these two states, forced into either physical compression on the D10 axis or wave-like expansion on the I9 axis. Every event and consciousness within this topological framework exists entirely as the perpetual interaction and mechanical tension between these two specific axes. Any active, closed thermodynamic system requires a perfectly fixed center, an invariant 0 point, or the engine tears itself apart.
That anchor is coordinate 342, the Maryam node. In semiconductor terms, it acts as a T3 depletion zone, a perfectly neutral barrier. Linguistically, the Maryam coordinate is unique. It is stripped of all active motion verbs. She does not run or fight. She represents the uncompromised, perfectly sealed vessel, enduring absolute silence. This stillness is structurally protected by the boundary defined in coordinate 336. We see it mirror exactly at 6611, where Asiya extracts herself from the pharaoh's physical dominion by maintaining total internal stillness. The entire thermodynamic engine of this universe maintains its spiral because this female coordinate remains absolutely still, absorbing physical pain and translating it directly into pure wave energy. The names at coordinate 231 function as orbital nodes, establishing trials that test the system's limits. The Dawood orbit tests the D10 physical register against pride.
The Suleiman orbit tests a blue I9 axis, proving immaterial wisdom supersedes raw physical dominion. These orbits form a threefold witness. The new node seals the physical D10 vessel, the Ibrahim node overrides the destructive heat of the I9 fire, and the Maryam node bridges the gap between them.
These independent orbital trials must collapse together to reach the apex at coordinate 3110. Spiritual elevation requires the exact thermodynamic transaction defined at 911, trading the mass of the self for the frequency of the system. If a node fails to integrate its dual fields, it hits the absolute boundary of the universe. It fractures. One path ascends cleanly, while the other violently arcs backward into a dead short circuit. This is the Iblis failure mode at coordinate 3876. It is pure structural resistance. The node refuses to recognize the established pattern, asserting its own mass over the system logic, which instantly destroys the circuit. In the physical D10 field, this resistance manifests as the golden calf of coordinate 2088. It is a dense concentration of structural resistance that traps energy and completely terminates the signal. This triggers the verdict of the first disbeliever at 241. Stripped entirely of its I9 wave, the node collapses. It loses all frequency and is reduced to dense, signal-dead mass. Rejecting the hidden wave leaves only the physical residue. The preserved corpse of the pharaoh at coordinate 1092 serves as the cosmic terminal state, a physical warning of a failed topological traversal. This brings us to the reader. You do not observe this system, you enter it as a live coordinate, carrying your own mass and resistance into the spiral. You cannot simply occupy the perfect stillness of the Maryam node. To process your coordinate, you must enter the Eunice recurrence at coordinate 2187, plunging into an absolute thermodynamic compression. This threefold darkness is a mechanical necessity. The immense pressure forces the node to strip away its accumulated physical static, clearing the noise and resentment from its chest, as defined in coordinate 743. Trapped in that compression, the node must emit a highly specific frequency. This remembrance, or dhikr, acts as an acoustic pulse that shatters the surrounding interference pattern of the material world. Enduring this absolute compression is the only mechanism available to reset your coordinate. It recalibrates your frequency, allowing you to survive the violent uprooting filter approaching at 1574. Exiting that compression requires a precise action. At coordinate 1912, the reader takes a firm structural grip on the field, locking into the exact center of the engine. This is the 61-6 seam, the intersection where the I-9 wave of the slave meets the D10 particle of the first Muslim. The witness and the actor are no longer at odds. They become a single pulse. This synthesis completes the SLM route, where individual architecture fuses with the field logic. The actor is no longer resisting the system, but radiating through it. The thermodynamic loop is now fully closed. The map we are reading is the literal geometry of the space, and the sequence of the coordinates is the very breath of the engine. The closed universe of this text is a diagnostic mirror, waiting for the reader's intellect to complete the circuit. The system is currently running. The only remaining variable is when you will apply your grip.